All right, we're about to perform a vacuum on this Lexus RX 2005. And this is not a hybrid, so it has a standard clutch. In the video before this, I showed you the leak that with the UV dye is down on the compressor clutch, which we can clearly see down there glowing. See right there? All that dye came out on there. Let's see what kind of vacuum we can draw. So at this point that I can section it off and turn it off and actually take the pressure of the system, the vacuum, I have the Blue Vac Pro I hooked up there. At this point we'll be able to read the microns of the system, but in a kind of bad place where you never want to take your vacuum is right at the port coming out of the vacuum pump. Then on this vacuum pump, I have it in the middle of the hoses going into the line. We're going to follow the vacuum here. And then this vacuum pump itself has its own micron meter built in that's inside right at the face of the pump where the pump pulls from. So you see the difference from here to here. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 micron meters hooked up to this when we draw a vacuum. As it stands right now, I have both vacuum off, so they're not on there. I'll start them up and we will start reading just the vacuum at these points, not in the system. So let's fire this one up. And as you can see, it's going down already because it's only the hose. And it's up to this black hose, following the black hose. It's turned off right here. And yes, you should be able to see. Why am I not starting it? That should be already starting. We should see something develop up here pretty soon. We'll wait a minute because it takes a little while. It's really slow. It already says 23 microns right there. 23 microns. Then we'll fire up this one right here going to this. So let's plug that in. Forgot. There it goes. A little voltage drop because the wires to the outlet are like only 14 gauge or 12 gauge, and this takes a lot of starting torque, and I already had that one on, so unfair. Had a hard time starting. So as you can see, we're already at 100 microns, and that's through this big 3/4 inch silicone hose and then through the vacuum hoses. Now if you remember from the previous videos, I've had this on vacuum overnight and pressure decay, and I wanted to keep them clean. I already recovered the refrigerant out of this system, and prior to transferring this hose and manifold assembly, I purged it with nitrogen. I broke the vacuum with nitrogen not to expose atmosphere into these hoses from my previous tests, so I know that I'm starting with a clean, dry set of hoses. And as you can see, this still says high limit. It's still at atmospheric because I did not open it up to the system. So now let's open it up. Let's open up the small vacuum pump first, and let's watch what happens. And as you can see, at this point right here, this is already reading down. We're already at 600 microns. And we're jumping. There you go. So right now, this software reads from the Blue Vac. The software inside the head here, where we're reading the microns, oh, we lost it. Okay, something's wrong. Are we still on? Where are we at? We are right here. And it's not on, but it's not connected. It lost transmission. I've been having problems with this. As you see, I lost it twice, last night and this morning. I lost the software hookup with the Testo. I have problems. So between the Testo manifold being very unreliable, the Testo vacuum gauge constantly I can't track with it or do anything, both pieces have been very unreliable. I've been showing this video after video after video. It's not just a one time, it's not just intermittent. It's been having quite a bit. Sometimes it works, sometimes it won't. And there it goes, it just reconnected again. And so we're at 52 microns here, and that's in the center of these lines. And right off the pump, we're reading 25 microns. And then right at the port, before the fitting, we're reading 300 microns. We just dipped into 200 microns. There, right there. All right. So now, the vacuum pump to the yellow hose, which is coming from the Navac, the big Navac. This is the 12 CFM Navac. I'm going to open this. Let's see if adding a second vacuum pump makes a difference. Way down here at this end. So here we are, and I'm going to open up the second one. Opening. And you're watching it fall and stay down there. A little burp. So that's outgassing right there. So that's an explosion of refrigerant boiling out of the oil. Literally, if you could see it, it would puff up like whipping cream inside, like the compressor, inside the evaporator. Everywhere there's a lot of oil, it's bubbling and boiling out. And that's what you're reading. So let's look at this on a graph. There's the graph. This is when I turned on the vacuum. And now you're seeing the boiling out. These are purges, explosions of steam, but not steam because it's not moisture. Explosions of refrigerant. If you ever seen boiling oil, when it got rid of most of its moisture, but every now and then it lets out a puff in a big bottle, a big can of boiling oil, a big pot of boiling oil, and every now and then you see these explosions. This is what is happening in the oil with refrigerant trapped in the oil, like carbonation CO2 trapped in Coca-Cola. Same thing happening. And we're able to read it and visually graph it and record it. Okay. Now, look how high it is. Now, if this was on the other side, it would be even higher. Let's turn on. Do I have them both on? Yes, I do. Okay. Now, just for a moment, let me turn off the vacuum. So I will turn off the vacuum to the low side. Off. And I'll turn off the vacuum to the high side. Now watch it raise. That's with the vacuum removed. Okay, let's turn back on the vacuum. And turn back on the vacuum. And I will go away for a few hours and come back and we will finish this off. All right, I'll see you guys in a little bit.